He's got it. We're working on it. All right, it looks like we are now live streamed and we are on the page. So thank you everyone for being here today. We are Women in AT here is live to interview our current and our previous female NATA presidents. We are so happy to have everyone here. And we are so excited to be talking with everyone and learning about each of your guys' presidencies. We may have a little bit of connectivity with Marge over here. She's over in Bermuda having a time that's not a stock picture behind her. But all right, first, I'm gonna have you guys briefly introduce yourselves, but we will go in order of our presidencies. And first we'll go Julie Max. She was our president from 2000 to 2004. Would you like to give us a little bit of your background? Or
I can give you a little bit, or I can give you a lot. There's no, whatever you guys choose. My name is Julie Max, and I am currently retired. I was at Cal State Fullerton for 41 years until last year. I officially retired from that position. And as most retirees, I think I'm busier now than I was when I had a full-time day job. I was exceedingly busy with NATA, as I'm sure we're going to be asking and answering a lot of questions. And I was excited to be the president of NATA from 2000 to 2004.
nice. Next, we've got Marge. She was our president from 2008 to 2012. What would you like to quick share about you, Marge?
Yeah, it's great that you put this together. So Marge, and I loved every part of my presidency, but most importantly, all of my service to the profession. It wasn't just the presidency that was the ultimate, right? And so happy to talk with women and connect, and happy to really connect with Julie and Kathy, because we don't spend a lot of time just talking with each other. And thanks for putting this together and letting me share a little bit of our stories. I too am retired following Julie Max. And that's why, like, I'm also very, very, very busy, but not in Bermuda on vacation. In Bermuda, just detained here because of a positive outbound COVID test. But what better place to change, right? Yeah.
And then finally, we have our current NATA president. We have Kathy. She started last year, 2021, and is, like I said, our current NATA president.
Thanks, Megan. And I echo what Julie and Marge have said. Thank you so much for putting this together to really be able to talk about how women empower women. I, as Megan said, am serving as president right now, taking office last June. Prior to that, I was the owner operator of 3 outpatient rehabilitation clinics in the North Texas area. I am incredibly proud of service. My service journey has given me so many rewards, and not the least of which is being mentored by these 2 ladies next to me. So thank you, Megan, and I'm looking forward to a great conversation.
Perfect. So right before we get started, I was just informed that we as a board, we were just talking, and we're going to do a quick moment of silence because we have had another school shooting within the US, and it's been too many. And so we're going to do a quick moment of silence for that, and then we'll get started. Okay, thank you. So to get started, we have so many good questions here today. If you guys happen to have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comment section of the Facebook Live. We're watching, and we'll ask those as they come in. But we'll start off with you, Kathy, as our current one. As a young professional, did you envision yourself as an NATA president? And what was your journey to becoming an NATA president?
It never entered my mind as a young professional. I knew that I wanted to serve the profession. I come from a service family, a military family, and so giving back, I tell my dad all the time, he's responsible because it's in my DNA. So I wanted to get involved. I wanted to make a difference. Never dreamed that I would be sitting in this chair now. And I think honestly, didn't really, because the profession was dominated by men, didn't really see it as an option until I saw Julie and some of the other women who were very early got involved in service. And we started to see their faces on the board. But still for me, it was about how can I help? How can I leave the profession better than I found it? It's been a tremendous journey. I am so pleased and honored to be serving as NATA president, and I can't wait to see what the next 2 years brings.
Perfect. Julie, what's your, that's, I mean, that's the whole point, is a service, and that's great to hear. And the fact that we were doing the Title IX and we saw that we only had 3, it's just kind of just so surreal that there's only three female past NATA presidents and current. So Julie, what, same question?
Goodness, I don't think that there's any question. Absolutely. Never did I envision being in that position. I think that as we continue to grow professionally, from a student to a young professional, I agree with Kathy. I don't even thought that I had that opportunity to do that. And so because of maybe some other questions that we'll be able to answer as we go along in this, never in a lifetime had I ever envisioned. And quite frankly, whether this is embarrassing to answer it like this or not, even when I was in the position, daily I looked back and I thought, oh my goodness, I can't believe I'm in this position. And so never was it ever envisioned. But oh my goodness, how exciting was the ride, and how exciting it continues to be as I watch my other colleagues and my other women go forward and empower women. And I'm so excited.
So are we. Marge, I don't know if you heard the question. I saw that.
Yes, yeah. I'm in and out, but absolutely the same as what Kathy and Julie said. My passion for the profession very early was following my male mentors, because there were no women, in serving the profession and doing whatever I could do to follow their mentorship to serve in any way, whatever committee it was, whatever the ask was. Never, ever did I think about being president. And I think that's a theme that anyone who probably progresses, especially women, to that height, it's not in our plan, right?
Oh. Did we lose her?
But she might catch up.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, kind of just to kind of bounce up an idea that she said, I mean, it's never in the plan and the option moving forward. But what, usually there's, the stepping stones of volunteering and moving your way up. At what point, were you in your volunteer and your service towards the profession, were you like, presidency, this is it? You know what I mean? Like, that's my next step.
I can answer that very quickly and very easily. As I said, I think it wasn't even until I was running for the position, I knew I was elected, I knew I was in the chair. Did it ever dawn on me that, oh my goodness, this is really happening? And so I do think that we all have the same theme, the same thread in our quilt, and that is that we were born for service. We wanted to jump into that position, and the stepping stones for probably all of us are very similar. And for many women that are listening to this, and that is that you take every opportunity. It's like Marge said, when you take every opportunity to follow your male colleagues, you continue to do that, but not until the day that I sat in that chair was, did it hit me and did it dawn on me?
Marge,
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
sorry, go
completely
ahead.
agree. Sorry, Megan.
You're good. You're good. Go ahead.
I completely agree. When it became a thought in my mind was when other people said, you should do it. You should think about it. You should do it. And even then, there was a part of me that went, well, and it didn't really hit me until I got the call. It did not hit me. And even to this day, I go, wow, pinch me, really? This is such an incredible journey. And still don't believe it at times.
Mhm.
Marge, we were just asking, at what point of your service were you like, yes, presidency, this is our way to go. This is my next step in my service.
Well, I think for me, it was as Kathy and Julie have said, it's not the title, it's the passion. I really felt like there were things that I was very passionate about, that I felt that I could contribute to changing the direction of our profession or helping to change it with the support of the board and other leaders. That I felt passionate about certain initiatives that I really wanted to lead. And again, that's not a title. It's a position that you can have that leadership and make a difference. That's what really called me to pursue that direction at that time in my athletic training career.
Yeah. So kind of within that, like, what has changed within each presidency? Like, we can start with you, Julie, and what do you feel like is different with, I mean, each time we're catering to different elements and different memberships. What do you think has changed between each presidency?
You know, I'm going to take a shot at that, Megan, but I think the two better to ask would be probably Marge and Kathy, because they can tell you they lived with me through that presidency. And then they picked up their 4 years. And so they can probably do a better job of answering that. I know we all joked at the fact that whomever it was that was the president before us, we inherited those little landmines in the ground. And when we got into that, our job was to slowly step through those mines and those landmines. How it's changed, I see a significant change. I can throw a couple of things out. I think that the leadership has gotten bigger, better, stronger. I think that the intention of the members of the board of directors take this more seriously now in this leadership. I think it is an honor to be in these positions. I think that the NATA leadership has changed significantly within the national office and the direction with which they give the president now. And then you take on all the initiatives that each of us walked through those landmines together. So I think there's a significant change. I'm going to be interested to find out what Marge and Kathy's answer is after they watch me go through my landmines.
Well said, Julie. And so landmines. So Chuck Kimmel, who I admire unbelievably, had the lawsuit with the APTA and he left office and I inherited that. But that worked out. I mean, you know, it wasn't like I never felt like Chuck ever like dumped it on me, right? It was like, okay, Marge, this is the best I could do. Now here's the baton. Now finish it off. And that's what I really felt that call to action was from Chuck. And we did. I think in my 2008 to 12, and Kathy can comment on this, we were in at that point, the greatest economic recession. Mm-hmm. And so we canceled because budgetary reasons. And I know, Kathy, you're living this now to the minute. We canceled all face-to-face meetings. We canceled all the large meetings. Everything was like no travel. And that made a huge difference in us going forward during that time period that you don't realize until after.
Oh, we had her for such a good stretch there.
We did.
Kathy, go ahead. I hope maybe she'll pop back on here. She can finish her thought.
Yeah, I think where Marge was going is she dealt with a lot of the financial challenges that we're now dealing with because of COVID. Oh, she's coming back. There she is. Finish your thought, Marge.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. I said, I think that the economic impact, the economic environment of where our country is has an unbelievable impact on our association and how a president and the board leads and what they need to do to remain viable and in a positive budget.
Yeah, most definitely. The board of directors right now are being forced to make some very difficult decisions on behalf of the association because of the financial impact of COVID. I mean, losing 2 in-person meetings. We know that we had a lot of members who, because of the financial challenges of COVID, dropped their membership, and working so diligently to get them back and to communicate the value of that membership. But the biggest challenge for us right now is getting back to our full earning power as an association, so that all of those resources that we had to pause, like in-person meetings, some governmental grants, those types of things, we want everything to be back the way it was, but our responsibility is a fiscal one to the association and protecting membership dollars. So a lot of what we're dealing with is absolutely very similar to what Marge dealt with during her presidency.
Oh yeah, for sure. And so those are, that kind of goes into the next question. What are, we have similarities and differences, and it seems like the not only as our economics and our membership and all the different facets that go into being a leader and catering to your membership. How do you guys feel like that's changed a lot? Like, do you feel like that's kind of we're just kind of evolving with the times and adapting, or is it just like, what do you feel like are your biggest similarities and or differences of your presidencies? Kathy, I'll go with you first.
I still think it comes down to listening and hearing what the members need, hearing what the members want, and then creating a strategic vision to get us there. Our membership is so diverse, and it's been like that through all of our presidencies in varying degrees. The number of ATs now that are in different settings is different than it was in Julie's, but we still had that. Mm-hmm. And the challenge of how do I address every member's needs when in some cases they're very different really comes down to listening. And then where do we need the profession to be? Where do we want the profession to be? And how do we get there?
Marge?
Great, I'll follow with that. So yes, every presidency is different. So I had a 10-member male board. Mm-hmm. And when I was elected, working a lot with men and women, and I felt I had some leadership skills. And then I got into that position and I'm like, oh my gosh, it was very different with 10 men around the table, all great friends, all great respect, but I couldn't get into their bathroom at break times to hear what they were saying. And I'm like, what the heck? And it was really, I think that affected me, not personally, but I was trying to create trust in that group because I'm a big trust person. I mean, the T in team is trust, and you want to get your board totally trusting and together. And a very honest, heartfelt statement from me. I never personally felt I accomplished that with my boards. And that was a disappointing leadership thing with me, but a lesson learned. And that was my 10-member male board, great friends still, but probably some of my, not doing what I should have been doing to make that happen. Women, we're all really hard on ourselves, right?
Yeah. I mean, in general, and you guys are all fantastic. I mean, I look up to all of you, and I don't mean to kind of label some of your guys's what you guys are kind of saying. I'm just kind of reiterating what you've said. Is a lot of some imposter syndrome of once you get into that presidency, you're like, I'm president, like really. Yeah. And I think that happens a lot with the women in general, but then also like women in athletic training who are, trying to say, yeah, I know this sport. Like I know how to play football. Like I may not have done it myself, but I can be here, so I think that's so relatable, and that's everyone's kind of felt it. And it's, I guess, kind of, and to me, you guys are obviously very, very real, but the people at the highest, it's hard to see them as real people at times. And it's like, no, you guys are leaders, change makers, and you have those same types of feelings that all of us have in your process. Sorry, Julie, I didn't mean to.
No, I can't agree more. I think that for me, I echo what Marge says, and that is that we're all very hard on ourselves. And when we were elected and selected to sit in that chair, I think very quickly it hit me. I have a huge responsibility. For me, I never wanted to look at it as a first for me, but it was a first female in that position. I never wanted to look at it that I was being watched, I was being observed. But I was, and I never wanted to look at it that I had a different responsibility than the men ahead of me, but I did. And so I think that in light of what Marge just said, we all take those things very, very, very seriously, and we might have been surprised and excited, but I guarantee once we're in that chair and in our boardroom, and I echo with Marge also, and that is the vast majority of my board were men. And as hard as I try to think like them, I simply can't. And so the challenge was to try to think like them, challenge them, but lead in our own style. And that was, that took me a while to embrace that challenge and that change. But we did it. We did it.
And did it well.
Yes, very well. And it wasn't a first. I mean, it was a first, and that is an extra thing. But like to me now, it's a somewhat of a norm. Yeah, like you can be present. You are female. Like the ripple effects are far and vast of the changes you've made, not only during your presidency, but for many generations after. And that it's for all of you, because again, there's only 3 of you, and in the future there will be many, many more. But your leadership was obviously catering and doing the best and doing the best and pushing the profession forward. What limitations did you have when you were trying to reach those goals that you had to make the profession better? Unfortunately, there's so many different things that we don't see as members. What were some of those limitations that you guys saw or felt or something like that that may have kind of made that a little bit harder for you to kind of achieve as president? Julie, go ahead.
Sure. I think that part of my limitations were, and again, I'm not only speaking for myself, but I think I can speak for Marge and Kathy. Some of my limitations going into the presidency is I was working with a staff of NATA that were not, let me see if I can say this in the right way. I think they were all working very hard with us as athletic trainers to let us lead. And so I think some of the limitations for us, for me, was not as business minded. I was an athletic trainer. I'm very proud of that. And I went into that position thinking I was going to lead this association with the mind of a certified athletic trainer. And I did, but I think that the limitations, I wish I would have gone in with a little bit more of a business background. Marge brought that to the table because of her day job and because of how she thinks. Kathy brings that clearly to the table because of their exposure, their experience, and their love to empower women into that profession. So I think that the limitations have changed, have gotten better. And I think that because of that, my other limitations were, again, working with mostly men, all male. And I had to learn, and as I'm repeating myself, to think differently, to challenge differently, to communicate differently. Those were my challenges.
Marge.
Yeah, can you still hear me? I've lost you guys on the screen, but can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
I totally agree, Julie. I think, talking, leading men and trying to interact with them, that's our whole life, right? But it is a challenge. And I do believe that when I was president, I think our membership number was maybe 40 to 45,000. And so when you get that big, then staff has a greater responsibility than the individual leaders like on the board. And it was always a challenge for my board, and not so much for me because I kind of understood that, from the board, like, wait, this is our association. We need to do this, this, and this. But when you get to be 45,000 members, then you have to give it up and trust the leadership that the association has hired. And I think that was a hard transition, and Kathy can speak to maybe still is. As the athletic trainer, as Julie, articulately said, that's our association. We want to have the voice, but it's so big, we can't have that voice. And giving up some of that voice means giving up some of the power and decision making. And that's a hard thing, that's a hard thing for men and women. And I think I would say we're still going through that. Kathy, what do you think? What's your opinion?
Completely agree. It's probably the desire of every athletic trainer to think that the association is being run 100% by athletic trainers. But we have all of these very capable experts in their business area, whether it's marketing, whether it's governmental affairs, whether it's public relations. That's what they do. And trusting them and allowing them to do their best at what they do makes us a stronger association. So yes, that struggle continues. I believe wholeheartedly that our best asset is our staff, and trusting them to run the association the way they need to. And we should be the strategic vision. That's the role of the board. I can't really speak to challenges yet other than COVID. But I'm sure in 5 years, I might be able to speak to that a little more.
I mean,
But if I add one more thing to Kathy's point about the staff being, they are like credentialed, certified, read in running associations.
Right.
This is much their job as our job is as athletic trainers. And so they would never say, oh, we have your skills. And we should never say we have their skills, because we don't. And that's a thing that I think we have to reiterate all the time with our colleagues and membership, that they're trained professionals with degrees and credentials to run professional societies.
Right.
Meg, I can jump in here. This is a sidebar story very quickly, but I served on the committee, the original committee to hire Eve Becker-Doyle. And you talk about a limitation from our membership, and exactly shadowing what Marge said. And that is, have you any idea how much grief I took? Because how in the world could we ever, as athletic trainers, hire somebody like Eve Becker-Doyle to run an organization and not a certified athletic trainer? So I can add that to the list of limitations. But again, echo what Marge is saying. It's the best thing that our association ever did, was to hand off, to recognize our scope, our skills, and to lateral to those that really knew what they were doing. But oh my goodness, can you even imagine what I heard when we hired Eve Becker-Doyle? Oh my goodness.
I can't imagine. I know. And the only one I can relate to is the COVID one, the COVID limitation of, I'm still kind of young in my profession and under that first decade, but yeah, that's, man, I can't imagine what that kind of feedback was in general. But I guess that also kind of segues into the next one of like that in general, accepting that and then moving in that direction. That's a huge accomplishment. Like, I think that, and that helps elevate the profession to what it is today, and helps NATA run as it does, and push out as many opportunities as possible for not only the board, but for the members. So what do you feel like is so far or your greatest accomplishment, or what is something that's really just kind of stuck with you of like, yes, this is like, we're moving forward in the direction and we're pushing the profession of athletic training forward. And what do you feel like is that accomplishment? And maybe what is that baton that you feel like you might have passed along as well? I'll start with you, Julie.
Oh, boy. I think two things that come to my mind in the very beginning, and that is that I knew that when I took the presidency, again, Kathy and Marge alluded to this, that it was a time and an era that we needed to bring some trust back to the association, trust within our membership, trust that the leadership, the board, the presidents, the staff were there to support them. And so I think that one of my goals, I know I'm jumping ahead for you, was to do whatever I needed to do as the president to bring back that trust, that support, in order to make that happen. I think other big things, again, were to re-educate our members that we needed a staff. We needed an educated staff in business if we were going to compete with the other big boys in healthcare and the other big girls in healthcare. And I think that the big accomplishment is that we were able finally to do that. And I was very excited about that.
Marge?
Yes. So repeat the question because I lost a little bit of you.
No, sorry. It's what do you feel like was one of your greatest accomplishments as president, or something that you really felt like pushed that needle forward into a better tomorrow? And maybe what is one of those maybe baton moments where you're like, all right, we did our best and hopefully we can continue fulfilling this into the next one.
Great. So I was always like practice setting wise, out of the box thinker, like physician, extender, athletic trainers, and physician clinics, taking athletic trainers from the sidelines to the physician office. And just as we worked with them every day, and also third party reimbursement, huge. And Kathy is very active in following that whole trend of how do we get athletic trainers reimbursed for what they do, not just cash third party, but maybe private practice, like the whole realm of what is out there for getting reimbursed for what our skills are, and not a system that doesn't recognize us. Mm-hmm. And my whole effort was getting Medicare approval, which might not be the trend now, but that was my passion. And I think some of things like offshot from that, and going forward with Joe Green's and the board's commitment to multi-year third-party reimbursement. So as I look at the past, it's like every presidency has building blocks that build on the next. And that was my passion. And Scott built on it, Tori built on it, Kathy's building on it. And so it actually does take that long. And that's a lesson in patience. But those important things that really solidify our profession for the future, which is a big question, those things take building blocks over lots of years. Right, Kathy?
That's exactly right. Chuck Kimmel said to me once, everyone plants a tree knowing that they probably won't sit under its shade, somebody else will. And that is so true when it comes to our service, either as a president or as a member of the board. There are so many things that we're setting up for the future of the profession, knowing that our successors will carry on those efforts. And third-party reimbursement is a big issue for me. CMS recognition is a huge issue for me, as well as for the profession. It's things that I believe will really move us forward. I can't call it an accomplishment because 10 months in, it's a little too early for a lot of those things. I would say our biggest accomplishment right now is we're going to be together in person in Philadelphia, and wanting to be in a room together again is just going to be amazing. I know it will be. Our DEIA commitments and initiatives are a big part of what we've done, both as an association and as a board of directors. And right now the board is working on strategic vision and where we now need, how do we identify where we want to be in a post-COVID world? So those things are more ongoing than they are accomplishments, but I'm looking forward to when they come to fruition. Maybe during when I'm still in the chair, it may not be, but planting that tree.
You guys all have planted mini trees already. If you had to try and narrow down it to be one or two main issues for women working in the AT profession, what do you think it would be? And do you feel like it's changed between each presidency? Kathy, we'll go ahead and start with you. Oh,
yeah, sorry, my dog, one of my dogs just kind of went nuts, so I muted so you wouldn't have to endure that. Women working in the profession, I mean, we still have issues. The salary survey showed a women's gender or salary gap, which has gotten worse since our last salary survey. So we still have those issues. We have the issue as a profession as a whole, and then of course from a women's standpoint that needs to be done. We are still seeing incidents of sexual harassment of women in the profession. And we've had a task force that is addressing that and is coming up with ways that we can help. Those are probably two of the issues that I would say we're focused on the most. But I'm also going to say we've come a long way since Title IX and what we've been able to accomplish as a profession and for our female members. We're not done. We have a ways to go. But we've come a long way.
Marge?
Yes, so on my soapbox.
Oh, no.
What a time to pause.
Oh my.
Okay, go ahead, Julie. Hopefully she'll pop back on or she'll be able to unfreeze soon.
Oh, my goodness. I was so waiting to hear Marge's soapbox.
Yeah.
If she pops in, then we're going to give her the floor because I know that she has had some different exposure than I have had in this. But I think that we are three strong women that are going to do virtually everything that we can to continue to support and encourage women to stay strong and stay in this profession. And so I think that because of that, our main issues have got to be a soapbox, like Marge is saying, to continue to lead the way, open up opportunity, open up doors. I know currently Kathy has a lot of task forces and committees that are addressing this. What can we do to focus in on what is in the best interest of propelling the membership in females? And so I am so excited to see where it was when I was in that position and where it is currently going to go with Kathy. I'm disappointed I'm not hearing Marge's because
She'll be back.
She's got some valuable things to say.
She really does. I can't wait. She will. I know she'll be back on here soon, and we'll kind of jump back to it. But in the meantime, we'll kind of keep moving on, and then we'll get her back in and get her back into the conversation. So, what have you seen in AT setting and leadership roles, and or vice versa, of athletic training members try or I guess or leadership roles due to with intent to help the profession, but ultimately it might be counterproductive or even harmful to the profession and its growth and AT advocacy. Do you have anything that you can think of what that may be, and how do we as younger professionals and women in athletic training, do you feel like we should take that next step of correcting that? Julie, go ahead.
Oh boy, I don't know if I can speak to that. You know, I get asked that often about hurdles or things that got in the way for my position, even as a member of the female on the board. And I'm not able to contribute to a lot of negative comments that were made for me. I had a ton of support. So I'm not so sure that I'm your best person to ask that question. I'm curious what Kathy has to say about that. And
I'm
maybe I'll
not
be able to
sure I
find-
have it either. Megan, I'm not sure if I understand exactly what you're asking.
So anything that might be with good, someone does something with good intent, thinking that we are pushing that needle forward, we are pushing the profession forward, but overall in the grander scheme of things may actually be counterproductive due to the information or the lack of, and that what those actions may ripple into. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm kind of with Julie. I can't think of anything off the top of my head that would fit into that category. Most of our members are doing what is truly in their mind best for the association. And I haven't seen too many examples of doing something that they thought was in the best interest and was counterproductive. I'd have to really
I'm
think about
curious.
that.
I'm curious, Megan, that question must have come from somebody in the group that thought there might be some issues that we should be addressing. Is that true?
Yeah, so it might have been, I don't have any top specific examples at the top. It was not one of my questions, but it has been seen, I think, generally that there were some actions or people with good intent that might have actually kind of pulled us back a little bit, or might have actually and maybe not even on the grander scheme. I mean, it might even be those small little interactions of knowing what an athletic trainer is. And I can't even think of an example at the top of my head right now. But yeah, that is something that was kind of brought up when we were putting in, and we have an open concept. You are welcome to share if you like to. If you do not, yeah, so that is okay too.
Well, quite frankly, I'm more curious about Marge's soapbox.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Marge does have a soapbox.
Definitely.
All of a sudden, my property hotel like cuts my internet, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Anyway,
Yes.
thank you. So, and this parallels women in the workforce. This parallels women physicians. This is like, now this is the next wave of what we have to do. We've reached equality, but not equity. And all of the disparity in salaries, promotions. I mean, and Julie, you know it. I mean, you know the academic world in professorships, promotion, tenure, all of that. It is not equal. And we need, it's not enough, just like Title IX is saying, okay, we did this is great. But look at that Title IX report that the Women's Sports Foundation put out. It is like, it was an unbelievable 50 plus page document. Like, yes, we've accomplished so much, but it is our challenge now to go to the next level and accomplish what needs to be next accomplished. And that means that, Megan, you make the same salary as your male counterpart, that every female athletic trainer in a Division I institution has the same opportunity to be the head athletic trainer, not the head women's athletic trainer. And it just parallels everything that's happening with women, not just in athletic training, women in our world. And that's my passion, to drive all of us to say, look at that and let's focus on it. Thanks for the soapbox.
No, you're perfectly welcome to have the soapbox. We actually have a couple people commenting. They're like, dang, Bermuda, we're left on a cliffhanger.
I love it.
So they're enjoying that.
Our work is not done. And I think absolutely Julie and Kathy, although Kathy's dealing with big time immediate things. I mean, and Julie stepping back, I know, looking at the big picture, our work is not done. We as early female leaders have a very strong voice. And as you're respecting us in this forum tonight, we have respect, and we need to use our voice to empower people like you and in your generation. Not that we want to do it, but it's your charge to carry it forward.
You know, if I can say one more thing, how exciting of a time are we right now that we are celebrating 50 years. We're
Right.
celebrating 50 years of Title IX. And even for me, as I have been so involved in committees and task forces and videos, and we're being hit from all over the country to focus in on the celebration of Title IX. In so doing, I am looking back, like Marge has said, I'm in reflection and looking back to see how far have we come, but how far do we need to go? And so I'm celebrating 50 years of accomplishment, but it's like, are you kidding? Here we go. Let's rev up the engines again and look how much farther we need to go. And so in celebration of 50 years, I'm excited, but watch out. Here we come yet again.
Yep.
Well, we think, as Julie and Marge mentioned, they both served on boards that was them and 10 men. And if you look at our board makeup now, it's 50-50, but our percentage of membership is 56. So at what point do we really start to mirror what our membership is? In 1972, women were less than 1% of NATA members. So that gives you a place of an idea of where we started versus where we are. But as Julie and Marge both said so eloquently, we still have a long way to go.
And with that kind of like right into the next one, this is great. You guys are right into the flow. To help with those next little steps, how can women at all levels, because I think we all know that everyone has meaningful change in their positions within their workplace, which then, kind of continues to the grander scheme of things. How can any and all women in athletic training advocate and help improve that sustainability and that quality of life for those next 50 years of Title IX? Marge, do you want to start with that one? Oh, we might have got her president.
Oh,
okay,
darn.
Kathy, do you want to cover that one?
Well, I think it starts with really advocating for ourselves, empowering each other, women supporting women, women using their voices. I mean, we still have women. I've been that myself, where asking for a raise, I don't want to do that. But using our voices to speak up for ourselves and to speak up for each other, and calling out that discrimination when it does happen, and continuing to lift each other up. When one woman succeeds, we all succeed, but that needs to be a domino effect. And if we're not helping each other, then we're hurting each other. So that, to me, is the biggest challenge in front of us right now.
Marge, were you able to hear the question?
Oh,
Which you frozen again. All right, Julie.
Yeah, I can't even imagine how frustrated she's being pretty cool, Marge is, because I think I would be pretty frustrated. I think it might be the red wine that she might, or that the red Kool-Aid that she might be drinking. That might be helping. I think that I came across a statement some time ago, and I think it helps me to empower other women. And that is that, literally women have to be twice as good just to have half the chance.
Mm-hmm.
And in order for us to be twice as good, I know in my presidency, which is what this is about, in empowering women, it really is so true that we have to continue to be twice as good, to continue to be given half the chance. But my goal is to cut that. I don't want to be given half the chance. I want to be given the full chance. And so I think that what we do is continue to support women. We continue to speak our truth. We continue to stand firm with who we are. And we continue to have the soldiers of other women that we can stand on and say, no, we can do this.
So a comment to supporting women. It's our history in our gender, right? Is that a lot of women will say we'd rather work for men and rather work with men than women, because there's that whole queen bee thing going on. So I'm challenging the generation on this, challenging you to not be like previous generations of women and not support each other. You women
Yeah.
support each other and lift each other up and celebrate each other, because that is the only way that women are going to gain the stature in our profession, in our society, if we do that. No more. And I've been a victim of the queen bee. I've probably been a participant in the queen bee syndrome, but no more. I mean, we want women to say, I want to work with and for a woman, because that's who mentors me. That's who I identify with. So ladies, make that happen.
Nice. Yes. I feel like the quote that always comes back to me is, by dimming someone else's light doesn't make your light any better or any bigger. So like in that same concept of just shine your light and let everyone shine theirs, like that's like the best thing that you can do for not only just like women in the athletic training world, this is in general. Don't be dimming anyone's lights. But so for our next question, like, what is the best piece of leadership advice that you have received, and how did you use that advice in your presidency? Marge, you want to start off with that one?
Leadership is a lifelong challenge. And I don't know if anybody advice, like I've studied people's leadership. Like I've looked at Julie's, I've looked I've looked at our profession, and learn each pearl from everybody and just study it. It's not one person. It's a lifetime experience. And you don't become a leader overnight. You're not a born leader. It's just like evolving. You learn the skills, you learn the people skills, you learn the connective skills. And it doesn't mean, oh my gosh, now I'm a leader. It's like, that's who you want to be and to contribute. It's not just one thing or one person. That's what I say. On to you, Kathy.
Yeah, I would agree. Leadership to me is not a destination, it's a journey, and it continues every day. I'm learning from leaders who came before me, and I'm learning from leaders who are coming after me. There is no one best skill of a leader. If there were, I lean toward listening, but there are so many more that are out there that leaders use in different ways. So I agree with Marge. I don't think there is one thing that we had that every other woman who served on the board didn't have. It's circumstances and continuing to learn how to lead.
Julie?
Sure. I think that there's no question that when I got into that position, I couldn't get my hands on enough leadership books what could I read? How could I get better? But, it really comes down to what legacy do you want to leave? What's so important to you? And I remember some mentors that were non-athletic trainers, by the way, that were mentors for me in my life. Always said to me, if you could pass anything on, it's pass on the character that you want to be remembered for. Because I think that never fails you. For me, it was very easy. I wanted to be remembered for my honesty. I wanted to be remembered I wanted to be remembered by leading with integrity. I wanted to be remembered as an authentic leader. And those are words that I took very, very seriously. I'm sure I failed often in that when I reflected back. But for me, in passing on, what I can say to the future leaders is find your world, find your truth, find the legacy with which you want to lead. I don't want to get cut off of this before I personally, and I'm probably jumping on this, but I'm so excited to be on this with Marge, and I'm so excited to be on this with Kathy, because if you're all not looking at this and looking at all three of our backgrounds and where all three of us came from and how all three of us think differently and how all three of us lead with a different style, a completely different style of leadership. I don't know what you're thinking of this, but I think this is a vivid example that you have three women, three different styles, three different meanings of leaving your legacy. And that's what I hope to portray with the women that are listening to this and the future leaders.
I love that, Julie, because before this call, as I was mentally preparing, I thought there couldn't be three more different people in terms of style of leadership, but accomplishing the same thing. And I felt exactly what you're saying. Like, I'm like, whoa, this is like a happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you,
Kathy.
That is so, I can't top that. That is so well said.
It's and that, like, you actually just, someone asked in the chat, you know, what do you recommend for your future leaders and those younger professional leaders who are interested in that service? And I think you guys all just encapsulated that so perfectly. And like you said, it's not, there's no cookie cutter solution there. Everyone, you know, follow that passion. And I think that is fantastic. And as someone who looks up to all three of you very much, and recognizing all of that, it just is, it makes like that future so much more bright of like, all right, just keep going and pursuing that passion and good things will happen. There's so many other questions and stuff that we could be asking. We could be talking all night long. But we're going to kind of start wrapping this up. If anyone has any additional questions, please add them into the comment section now. Is there anything else that you guys would like to share with the members of Women in Athletic Training, to anything at all about your presidency, about the future of athletic training, whatever you'd like? What would you like to share with Women in Athletic Training as we gather these questions, if there are any?
So let me, if I can take a minute. So one of your questions was, how do you see the profession of athletic training going forward in the future?
Yeah.
And how women make a difference? So I really think that any profession the size that we are is kind of at a crossroads, from pandemic to really the specialized interest groups that are serving, you know, really interests of individual practice settings. I think it really takes a role of women leadership moving forward to keep the society together from a state, district, and national level, and to really buy in to what involvement in the national profession in the NATA really means to them professionally and gives back to them, to really be leaders in the NATA. And I know that's hard to take on because of work-life balance, and I have so much to do, and that's a big issue with women, right? But it's like, contribute to your society and the profession and make it grow, because that's where we all came from, and that's where it will be in the future.
Yeah, I feel like I'm on the current Title IX task force that's going on. And I think that's what most of the women that I've interviewed is, they've always all said, including you, Marge, of, you know, get involved, be the change you want to see in the profession. And I've learned so much again from all of those interviews. Do you guys want to, Kathy or Julie, have anything to piggyback on that?
I will always have something to piggyback on, but I just am so, I'm so excited to have this opportunity. And I don't mean for that to be cheesy, but I do think even as I'm watching all of us talk with you right now, and you go back to the year 2000 and what has changed and what has happened. But you have women here that continue to be passionate about women. We continue to be passionate about supporting women. And so I think that what has happened in our organization is it's given committees and task forces a voice. So take that voice and be strong with it. And what Marge is talking about, when I was in the presidency, every member of the board of directors sat in that chair for one reason, and that was to support their district only, to support what they did as a district. They weren't in the big picture of what is this national organization going to flow to and turn into? And that has evolved over time. And I think a lot of it is because of the leadership of these two women that went into the boardroom to say, no, we have to look at the bigger picture. We have to compete in this healthcare profession and in this big picture. So I am so excited to be a part of this. I'm so excited mostly to see where we're going to go. I can't wait to hear in 10 years this same interview and where we've come. Thank you.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, you're exactly right. So I stand on the shoulders of these two women, never imagining that I would be on a call with them. I watched their presidencies. I watched them lead, and am so grateful for what they did for the profession. Julie likes to say that she didn't have much of an impact. I think, well, you didn't put it that way, but you were fighting with your board because they were thinking from a district standpoint. And so you couldn't accomplish as much. And I challenge that every day, because Julie had a huge responsibility of being the first woman in that chair. And as she said at the onset of the call, she never really thought that was a great thing. But yet those of us who came after her, somebody had to be first. Somebody had to be that person who said, I can do this and I'm going to do this. And she led with grace, and she led, yes, with integrity. And she set the bar for the rest of us. And Marge continued that by looking at NATA as a business, and what do we need to do in order to advance the profession and to protect the business of NATA. And so I sit at their feet and learned from them, just as I hope that there are other women, and I know there will be other women who are in this chair, and I can't wait to see what they accomplish as well. I am excited about our future. There is so much ahead of us, and I can't wait to experience it.
Marsh, did you have something to say there, or Adam?
Saying kudos to what Kathy said.
We didn't have any additional questions come in, so I just want to say, oh wait, someone did ask, do you guys have just like a group chat that the three of you guys like talk in?
That's a great idea.
It's a great idea. Kathy's way busy to talk to two retirees in Bermuda, and one who happens to be wherever, Julie. So Kathy.
I'm going to finish that for Marge. I think Marge and I are a little
Maybe
too busy.
Julie and I'll talk.
Yeah, I think Marge and I are a little too busy for Kathy. So
That's probably true.
Yeah,
it's probably true.
Well, thank you all so much for taking the time out of your guys' busy schedules to come and chat with me and all of Women in Athletic Training. We've had so many people engaged and watching, and it's going to stay on the page for more and more people to watch, because surely there are plenty of people who are probably in practice right now or at a game of some sort. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for all of you guys to taking the time to do this. It was a great discussion, and I just feel so blessed to be talking with all of you who, like I said, are just people who I follow closely, and your paths and try to and look up to as a young professional, and hopefully moving my way up the chain one day as well.
thank you, Megan, for
Most
setting
definitely.
this. Without you, this wouldn't happen. So thank you.
Definitely.
Thanks, Julie. Great seeing you.
take care, you guys.
Take care. Have a great night, guys. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.